No-shows are a huge pain, which you already know. They are a waste of time. They are a huge inconvenience. They're expensive. I can't tell you how many times I put hours and hours into a drawing only to be stood up by some inconsiderate street beast. I love that term. I'm going to start using it all the time. Our friends at GoReminders.com virtually eliminate no-shows. GoReminders is a very simple, easy to set up, easy to use, fully customizable scheduling app. It integrates with all of your calendars. It sends your clients appointment reminders at the intervals that you choose, through text, through email, through whatever you want. GoReminders users report an average savings of $527 a week in saved appointments. In fact, just one saved appointment pays for the service for an entire year. A 10% discount will automatically be applied, and it lasts indefinitely through the promo code FIRESIDE. Click it. Start today.
Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast, the official podcast of the Fireside Tattoo Network. They're literally breaking down around us here at the Evergreen at the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational. So this is officially our last show from Evergreen. I'm here with my buddy Howie, whose last name is Tattoos because I don't know his actual last name.
It's Horowitz.
Horowitz?
Horowitz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty Jewish last name.
Yeah. Well, you don't really put it on anything, do you? Do you have it out?
Well, my old Instagram handle was Howie the Jew Tattoos.
Yeah.
And then I decided after a while I was going to try to move towards a more professional,
Yeah.
deal. So it was my email, it was everything, and so it was a little bit of a transition there for sure. But once it was done, it's been pretty good now. I've had it for probably a couple years now. And it's I've actually noticed quite a difference in just like responsiveness from people, and so
Yeah. I would imagine that was. I can see how that might rub a few people the wrong way. But, but you're a tattooer. You're supposed to walk the line a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've hung out a little bit. We've crossed paths at several shows, and I was trying to figure out what we should dive in on. And when I saw you were coming here, I knew I wanted to get you on the show. But I was trying to think of what we should dive in on. Your technically, so I judged. I judged like 9 categories the first day because I guess there was no one else to judge. So I sat on the stage for all day long, and I saw one of your I saw your rose come across in the back of a guy's head, and as soon as I saw it, instantly I was like, oh, I know who did that tattoo. And so I think that says a lot these days when we all tattoo a lot of flowers. There are a lot of flower tattooers out there, a lot of rose tattooers out there. And I think it's, if your goal is to set yourself apart or make a mark or have a unique way of making marks or doing something, then you've obviously, I think, done that because I can tell from across the room when I see one of your roses. So
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did it come from, the stylistic? What was your drawing background? I don't know that about you.
So I've pretty much been an artist my whole life.
Yeah.
Started tattooing about almost 21 years ago.
Oh.
I didn't take it super seriously for a long time, and then as I was working with the wonderful Phil Garcia for a long time, and working with that guy just really pushed me to do exactly what you were talking about, to try to separate myself from the pack. And at the end of the day, for me, it's not about hundreds of thousands of followers or popularity or fame or anything. It's about job security, really, in my future, and just providing and all that stuff. So and in this, dude, this industry is so flooded with artists, especially now. Like, there's so many people doing tattoos and, great tattoos.
Great tattoos.
Yeah. So to, weave in between everybody and try to find one artist in a niche area, that's not the easiest task.
No.
So Phil was always pushing me to try realism, which, working with him, how could I not eventually try it? And I found out that I actually was kind of okay at it, and so what I ended up doing was I sort of decided to unlearn oh, Edgar.
Yeah.
Decided to kind of unlearn all the things that I'd learned over the years and start over, and I just started kind of almost just re-apprenticing myself with Phil after I'd been tattooing for a long time already.
Yeah.
And then sort of applying his techniques that I'd learned from him, because he was super gracious. Like, he was like, dude, if you want to learn and you're hungry, I'll teach you.
Yeah.
And when I first started with him, a little around 5 years ago, I wasn't tattooing every day. And so if I didn't have a tattoo, often if I wasn't drawing or, trying to create something, I would sit and watch him tattoo, and I'd ask him questions, until I was like, dude, am I bugging you? Or like, he's like, no, man, no, sit. What do you want to know? Get closer. And he really, really was super gracious and, just giving with all his stuff. And eventually one day, it took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while. But one day something kind of clicked. And so I realized I could, produce a decent tattoo anyways. And I started applying his techniques to a more illustrative style because I'd always been a bit of an illustrator. Realism was never my thing. It was just something fun I wanted to try. And that's pretty much that. And so, and in doing that, I was able to take the same roses that I'd been doing for years and put a unique stamp on them, and I think that's really cool. You said that, like, you noticed it, you spotted it instantly. That's
absolutely.
Such a humbling feeling to me, like, it's crazy.
And to that point, Phil is another one of those guys, too, that as soon as you see one of his roses, there's no question who it is. And it's funny because stylistically they're different. And you are doing some cool tricks with mixed style where you're like using like a shape to help break it up so it's kind of realistic, and then it drops to your kind of more natural or what you've done more of, I guess, the more stylized traditional approach to just bold color. But it is funny that you guys kind of working in same subject matter, completely different approaches, but have both found very unique ways to put your mark on it.
Absolutely. To the point even where we actually share quite a few of the same clients now as well.
Oh, really?
So it's like I said, it's I never thought I would be here.
Yeah.
I really never did. And so it's like the most humbling thing to be working, with the caliber of clientele that he's tattooing, and they're wanting my art.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. Sometimes I wake up and I can't really believe it.
Yeah.
So,
what was your background before you? You don't work with Phil now? Or you did?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working at a different shop now, and eventually, I'm striving towards opening up my own spot at some point. Okay. So, yeah.
Before you were working with Phil, you said that you didn't take it super seriously, and I feel like because we've been tattooing a similar amount of time, and I feel like for a long time I kind of thought, I've figured out how to tattoo, and I could kind of phone it in, and it worked for my clientele because they weren't that educated at that point, not like they are these days.
Right.
I mean, they weren't bringing no one was bringing a Phil Garcia rose in as reference to me at that 20 years ago,
right.
So it didn't matter, so I was able to phone it in, or I did phone it in for quite a while too, and it wasn't until social media started coming around and I saw how high the bar had been set, and I thought, like, oh wow. And then especially starting this show and trying to like present myself as someone that knew about tattooing, and then the last thing I wanted is someone to flip into my page and be like, oh, he sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why am I listening to this guy's show?
Yeah, for sure.
So
this guy doesn't know shit.
Yeah,
can I cuss? Can I cuss?
Yeah.
I think I've heard people cuss on the show.
Yeah,
before.
Absolutely. So what was your apprenticeship and those years leading up to realizing you needed to take it more seriously? What was your experience like?
My apprenticeship was kind of rough. I was a lot like a hazing in a lot of ways. Looking back on it now, I mean, I did learn a lot. I learned a lot of I learned some, good habits, and I learned some not so good habits. So when I was, earlier when I was saying I had to unlearn a lot of stuff, I really did, but the time that I learned was like, it wasn't tattooing, like you said earlier, wasn't where it is now. We didn't know it was going to be here. So a lot of us were content to, tattoo Cherry Creek stuff and tribals and kanji all day, and you could phone that stuff in and still have it look good. Yeah. So it was just it was a paycheck, it was a way to make a living. I guess I'd always known that I wanted to be a professional artist. I just didn't know in what capacity. And so as this started to manifest, it was really fun at first, and I really enjoyed it. But as I started to see, as I became more and more involved in the industry as the years went on, I would see a lot of the things that I didn't really care for, and I realized it was easy to get away. It also like kind of influenced me, and in terms of like I was able to get away with phoning things in and kind of cheeseballing my way through a lot of stuff, and so like I wasn't. Paycheck was like, let's do this tattoo, let's get it done, onward, let's move on, take a number, who's next, whatever, and that's what it was. There was a percentage of tattoos that I did that felt like they were honest projects that I was enjoying and passionate about, but they were few and far between.
Yeah, that's a similar story. I feel the same way. So you mentioned that you always thought you wanted to be a professional artist, but you were phoning in your job as an artist. So probably a lot. So you never knew, you weren't even positive that tattooing was your final destination as an artist for a long time. Is that true?
I wasn't. Yeah, that is absolutely true. When I first started with it, I thought for sure, I was so excited about it that I thought for sure this is it.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I was like, maybe this isn't it, and I'll keep doing this. And I took jobs, like I would tattoo, my friends Todd and Tanya put me up in their garage. I had a makeshift shop in their garage that they let me tattoo. And I've tattooed, like most of us, out of the house.
Sure.
And then eventually one day I got married, and before we had our daughter, it was getting to a kind of a boiling point in that I need to be able to figure out a way to provide all the time with secure money. And so I went to culinary school.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and so this was in like probably my 12th or 13th, maybe more, I can't remember, year of tattooing. Like I was pretty invested in it at that point, and I just decided, I was like, you know what, I need something secure. But then I also discovered after graduating that having other people telling me what to do sucks.
Yeah.
And chefs are assholes.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Pretty much to hell with that. And I was still tattooing part-time kind of, when I could. There was a lot of studying and stuff involved. But for the most part, I was doing the culinary thing for a while, and then eventually I just scrapped it.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy cooking a lot.
Yeah. Sure, you got plenty out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a very similar path, too. I did Blue Apron for about 2 or 3 months, and I've learned a good bit about cooking. I know how to chop.
Is the food any good?
It's actually really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've been wondering about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No,
yeah, the prep work. There's a lot of prep work, but it is funny because you do this. I do nothing about cooking, but you use the same process a lot in their instructions, and so then you realize like how you make a lot of things. You're like, oh, this seems to happen a lot whenever I'm doing this in this order, and so I did learn a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm tongue in cheek. I know nothing about cooking, but I know way more now after Blue Apron than I did. Kind of
that preparation you were talking about in culinary school, they call that mise en place.
Mise en place?
Mise en place. It's French, and I think it means roughly translated like everything in its place.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
mise en place.
Yeah, mise en place. I'll use that. Like, honey, what are you doing in there? Mise en place. So this is interesting then, because you've with that upbringing and tattooing, you're very technically accomplished. I mean, the type of tattooing you do, it has to be very solid. The blends have to be very smooth. The line weights have to be very crisp and clean, or it stands out like a sore thumb. So did that come later with working with Phil, or do you feel like that technique is something you kind of figured out early on?
Yes and yes. So for some reason, when I was, when I started tattooing, everything was lined out. You know how it was. Everything, black lines, hard lines. I didn't think too much about gray lines or blood lines or anything like that. It was just whatever, just line it.
Yeah.
And sorry, I don't want to burp all over your microphone.
That's cool. I'll just make sure not to wear that one.
Right? you know, and then after a while, like my lines almost became my signature.
Yeah.
And everybody, I got a lot of the feedback that I would get was, "Wow, your lines are clean. Wow, your lines are clean." And I heard a lot of that, even when my tattoos as a whole were kind of shitty.
Yeah.
You know, and so that, you know, the line work thing has always been there for me, but you know, tying that in with that technical application that I got from Phil was kind of what started to set things off for me a little bit and really kind of give me, I guess, you know, my style, whatever that means, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, because he doesn't. I mean, no, he uses a lot of line as texture, but he doesn't really. I mean, with that realism, he's not really lining much of anything, and he's working in layer after layer. It seems like. I mean, I'm amazed at how much work he puts into a petal of a rose.
Right. Oh God, yeah. As far as the lining goes, though, you'd be surprised. Color lining.
Oh yeah.
Color lining. You know, quick funny story. Not to get too far off topic or whatever, but years ago, this is probably around 2006 or 7, and Mike DeVries was the man. Like came in with those color. I remember like looking at his Bob Ross, and I was like, "Oh my God, that is awesome!" And I want to do that.
Yeah.
And Phil was working with Mike at the time.
Oh, really?
And so and Phil was kind of like one of the guys from the neighborhood that made it big, you know, and he was working with Mike and learning how to do realism, and he picked it up really quick, and he was really good at it. So one day I decided I wanted to do, here comes Steve Buscemi again, I wanted to do Steve Buscemi from The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
When he was singing "Do You Want to Hurt Me" at the end of the movie or whatever. And so my buddy Nate was like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I can do this." I made this ridiculous stencil. Nate bought all these inks, all these pigments that I didn't have the colors of, you know, and like we sat down to do it, and I got through like his he was wearing this like 70s, 80s style tuxedo with ruffles and stuff. Yeah. I got through his bow tie and like the ruffles and collar, and then I got to his face, and I like had a complete meltdown. Just a complete meltdown. I lost it. I called Phil in a panic. We didn't work together at the time, but we were still friends. I hit him up and was like, "Dude, what do I do? I'm freaking out." And he's like, "Relax." He's like, "Color line everything. Color line it." So I said, "Okay, all right." So I color lined it. I color lined everything on my stencil.
Oh yeah, every little highlight, transition, everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So, even funnier story. So Nate was in the Navy. He ended up going to Cuba. Came back. We finished the tattoo. It was horrible.
You finished it that day?
The next day.
Oh, the next day.
After I color lined everything, just butting up against all those day-old lines, you know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun for him.
Yeah.
So he went to, I think, Guantanamo Bay to go work down there.
Oh, yeah.
Came back and, he said his leg was just like a swollen mess. And got it lasered off. And then tattooed Steve Buscemi from Reservoir Dogs on me.
Oh, really?
Years later, it came full circle. So yeah, I've got this funny this like it was a cover up from some laser work, little ashy. But
yeah.
Steve Buscemi and Harvey Keitel, Lego
that's
people.
Awesome. Lego people.
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
yeah, I've got Reservoir Dogs myself.
dude. See,
Yep.
I knew it was meant to be.
That's
Jay.
right. They know it, man. You know what year do you think? When did he do that?
I think this was around 07-ish, give or take. Yeah. I think we did his tattoo, and I think around 06. And yeah, I think this was around a year later when he got back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget to get a photo of that to drop in because I don't know how well people can see it because we definitely need to do comparative. Yours is way more creative. I just used the box from the movie.
Right.
But mine was done. This was one of my first tattoos. They were done.
You did them yourself?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
But they were done like shortly after the movie came out. Like
Nice.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
Before I was tattooing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like the perspective piece above a lot. That's pretty cool.
That's a guy, and it's really, I mean, obviously this tattoo is super old at this point, but his name was Matt Wojciechowski, and he was from Houston. And at the time, he was the most mind-blowing tattooer I'd ever seen. He came through and did a guest spot in Memphis, and it was at a point whenever I was like, whatever I saw, if someone did a solid tattoo, I just assumed they were great at all tattoos.
Yeah.
And so he never done any like black and gray, nothing like that. But I was like, "Can you do this?" And he was like, "I'm sure I can." You know,
Yeah.
I'd seen him do like some kind of celestial like color space thing that didn't have a lot of lines and looked awesome. And so I was like, "Oh, he could do that. He could definitely do a Reservoir Dogs tattoo."
Oh my God, that's funny.
That's awesome that we both have. I knew. You're right. It was meant to be. So what do you your roses and stuff these days? Do you still draw a lot from actual reference, or do you have a pretty good bank of knowledge that you're drawing from?
I do both.
Yeah.
I do both. It depends on where my brain's at that day.
Yeah.
If I needed to draw a rose right this second, my brain's fried.
Yeah.
Like that, I could probably put something together, but
Yeah. But you would use visual.
but I might use something visual right now. If I'm starting fresh in the day and my brain's, if I'm on fire and ready to go, yeah, I could sketch something, no problem. But yeah, I'm not ashamed to use reference. I think there's a lot to be taken from live reference, and convert live reference into illustrations. That's fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, put a twist on it and stylize something like that. That's great.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people kind of hate on that. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. People hate on everything.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
What you mentioned that you're thinking about opening your own spot. Is that a near future plan, or is that a distant?
I wouldn't
nothing
say
in the works.
nothing in the works right now. It's something that I've definitely been considering for sure, and I'm really happy right now where I'm at. I like the guys I work with
Where
and
are you?
everything.
Where
It's
are
called
you?
Channel Islands Tattoo,
Okay.
and yeah, my buddy Adam Fuscaldo, he's such a good guy. He he just. I needed a spot to keep things going, and well, my original intention was to get into a spot within 6 months, but he's just gone out of his way to make me feel so welcome and comfortable there that I just don't want to leave right now. I'm really enjoying my time there. I'm really enjoying the guys. I go there every day. I tattoo every day, and we do what we do in tattoo shops. We talk shit. We tell fart jokes and
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you do move to your own space, is it something you think you would like to build a studio, build a shop of artists, or are you thinking more just private space?
It's funny because I've listened to you talk about this topic before, and I'm somewhere, I don't know. I don't know. I think I could go either way with it. I think initially I've worked with people for so long that I think it was like when I first moved into my first house on my own without a roommate. The dynamic of that was so unique to me that I embraced it, thoroughly, and I will never have a roommate again.
Yeah.
And so unless I'm cohabitating, of course, but
Right.
outside of that, no way. Yeah. And so I could easily be content to work on my own for a while. But I think what I'm going to look for, what I have in my head is when I do start to look for a spot to build out, is going to be somewhere that I could use as a private studio and art studio, with room to add on if I decide that I want to go that route.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody likes packing and moving all the time,
No.
so I'd like to find a spot that I could settle into and hang on to long term.
Yeah, and have some opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
How often are you painting? I know we both did the Orb show that Art Realm put on down there, and you did painting for that. Are you painting pretty regularly? Or
no, not at all. Currently, well, I'd say right now, tattooing is taking up so much of my time, which, trust me, I'm not complaining, but I'm having a hard time finding time for extracurriculars.
Yeah.
And even including like personal time for myself, and which is kind of sucky, but it is what it is. It wasn't always like this for me, and so I feel like now that it is like this for me, I need to put in the work. I need to keep working and working and working and working, and then I'll take my vacations when I can.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah,
pretty much it on that.
I can't. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to tattooers that had kind of ridden that wave of popularity and thought and just became content with that. Like, this is the way it'll always be, and then it just tends to start to like level off for people for however it goes. Like eventually one day that style of tattooing, like your work, just isn't as sought after. Not that you can't get work, but
no. But there's gonna be there's always like a new jack that's gonna come up, and
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
These kids are tattooing for a year, like
Yeah.
literally a year. One of the guys I was tattooing in the Black Anchor booth today.
right.
This kid Gage, oh my God, he's been tattooing just under 2 years, and I just saw the piece he did today, one of those statue-like pieces, or like a Zeus type of, you know,
Yeah.
black and gray. Dude murdered it.
Really?
And I'm not like blowing smoke right now. I'm literally saying like it was honestly an award winner for sure, without a doubt.
Wow.
It was so clean. Not even 2 years. It was like a year and a half. They said. So, and I'm just looking at this and I'm going, dude, I've been tattooing almost 21 years, and my black and gray still doesn't look like that. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely.
I don't know if it ever will, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's amazing to see how, and it just goes to show what this era of tattooing is. It provides. There's no way you could have learned that. I mean, you would have had to fallen into the best apprenticeship. It was like it would have been hitting the lottery to fall into an apprenticeship where you could learn subtle black and gray.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the piece, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen those types of tattooers, and now, you know, with this kind of bank of information we have online and out there, it's people who are hungry for it can figure it out.
And he's learned. He's got a great mentor, Alec Turner. Do you know Alec? Okay, well he's super talented. Pretty mostly black and gray artist. Super talented guy. And he took Gage and he was like, dude, you want to learn? You want to come here and work? You're gonna learn, but be prepared, you know. And he's done just that. He's done just that, and it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
So, and I also heard that out here that they, I don't know if it's mandatory or I haven't really asked too much about it, but there's like tattoo schools are very common, and I think that
they are mandatory. They
are mandatory. Okay,
yeah, you have to go through.
That's
school.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then there's continuing education that you have to do on top of that, almost like if you were, which I actually like the continuing education that kind of forces you, not the people, you know, like
that's Gage right there,
you
actually.
Oh, okay.
Just talk about you, buddy.
Yeah, he doesn't want any attention. But I do like that because folks like you and I who just were phoning it in for so long, you know, continuing education at least puts you in front of someone trying to learn something. I came out here. Fireside is actually licensed. I had nothing to do with it as a continuing educator out here in Oregon.
Really?
So if I could come out and teach, and people could get their hours for the.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, I did a road show with Spirit, the stencil paper people. They brought me out to do some stuff with them, and they got us all like set up as Oregon educators.
That's awesome.
I've never taken advantage of it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it may expire. I don't know, but it may not be valid anymore. But still, pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. That was cool.
Where I know they're about to kick us out of here. Where are you off to from here?
So I'll be home. Wait, what's today? Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain's fried right now.
It's St. Patty's Day.
That's right. Hey, cheers. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Oh, I got you. I do not. I got green tattoos.
That's right. I've got my necklace. I've got my necklace.
Provided by your daughter?
By my daughter, yeah. My daughter, Sadie. Thanks, baby. Yeah, so I get home. I'll get home tomorrow night, and then I have to tattoo on Tuesday. I usually would take the day off after a full weekend away. You know, I have a client moving actually in your neck of the woods to Biloxi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they've been such great clients to me. Her and her husband have both been such great clients to me. I don't want to let her down. They're moving. I think at the end of this week, maybe something like that.
So tattoo as soon as
and
you
so
get
I'm gonna. Yeah, we've got this like Disney sleeve we've been chipping away at on her. And it's been a lot of fun. I love the Disney stuff. But I got to get her. We started this Aladdin piece, and I got to get that finished up before she splits. And so that'll be Tuesday. Wednesday will be a family day.
Yeah.
So there I go burping on your microphone again.
That's all right.
Sorry. And then Thursday I take off for Chicago, and that'll be fun because I've never been there before.
What are you doing? There's a show?
Yeah, there's a Villain Arts show out there.
Okay.
So I think it's. I can't, maybe the Crown Plaza or one of those. So I'm excited though, because like I said, I've never been there, and I want to go climb the top of the Sears Tower. Well, I guess I wouldn't be climbing it. I'm not King Kong,
no,
you know, but like
just take the
elevator. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a spot where
yeah,
you can
yeah,
like
yeah.
walk out and look over. it.
Yeah,
It's real,
yeah, they've got the
it's
plate, like those plate.
yeah,
Dude,
it's real intense.
I'm like sick just thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, that'll be cool. Speaking of Biloxi, have you ever done that show, the Due South?
You know what? I haven't. I met
either.
Matt Stebley last year in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he was such a cool guy, and he had mentioned it. I just wasn't in the cards for me this year with what I had going on. Next year, I think I'm going to play it a little differently. I'm going to do what I was going to try to do this year, and that accounting for the shows I'm going to do. I didn't realize that like all the shows are pretty much posted long before they happen.
Yeah.
And so you can literally register for the shows whenever you want. I called a lot of the places, and they're like, yeah, you can register. I was like, that's fantastic. So,
yeah. So you're trying to plan your next year schedule already? Or
well, no, not already, but just like as I get towards the end of the year, that way I don't mix clients from home.
Right.
Because I'll just book. I'll just keep booking and booking, and not a lot time for travel. Mm-hmm. And then I don't like canceling on clients, and so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna skip out on clients that I have had booked for weeks or months, whatever it might have been, when just to go on a trip.
Yeah.
So.
That's the issue that we've had a lot. I end up pushed out of ways in Memphis, and then we get invited to, and a lot of times it's super cool. People will be like, hey, we've been following your show. We'd love for you to come out. We'll give you a booth and, help get you set up and everything. And then it's like, oh, shit, I'm already booked for those weekends.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
and it's a super cool town. We just had someone reach out for Bangor, Maine or something. Bangor, Maine in the summer. I was like, never been to Bangor, Maine.
That's
that
Stephen
sounds
King's.
Is it?
I
Stephen
think that's
King's?
where
Maybe
like all
so.
those books are based in Bangor, right? Yeah.
Are they? Yeah. Yeah. So I've never been there. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that would be awesome, but I'm already booked. I can't go. I'm booked in Memphis.
See, exactly. And so, and
Yeah.
that's the reason. So, I do plan on like really taking that time to focus on that. Probably come like, I don't know, November, October,
Yeah.
and then just register for as much as I can.
Yeah.
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 So.
Well, awesome. So you may or may not be. You don't know about if we're going to cross paths in Columbus, huh?
And Columbus is up in the air right now. It's a definite possibility,
Yeah.
but it's not set in stone yet. So I'm not banking on it for sure.
Okay.
I'll definitely be in Arizona,
Okay.
Hell City this year for sure.
Yeah.
I've got Tahoe.
I've never done that one either.
Oh man, that is
I've heard it's
such a great show.
Yeah.
It's like a quarter of, it's like that big, like
Oh,
one of
really?
these corners of this room.
Yeah.
And it's just stacked with the most awesome talent
Yeah.
that you can stack in a room,
Yeah.
It's so neat. And Dat's the promoter for that show. He's a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He also does the one in France, right?
Yeah,
Evian.
Evian. Yeah.
I don't know him. We have a lot of mutual friends. I've never met him, but
He's a funny guy.
Is he? Yeah. I've been promised an introduction because I'd love to do the one in France. I've just seen people's stories from when they're at that place. It looks like it's tucked into this mountainous little area.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I'd love to
for
do that
sure.
one. Yeah.
From what I understand, Evian's a really small little town,
Yeah.
very rural,
Yeah.
and so. Yeah, I'd imagine the setting for the convention would be much the same.
Yeah.
So-
Do you ever do European conventions?
I haven't yet, but I definitely want to.
Yeah.
It's definitely, in the plans. I just haven't set anything in stone yet. I'm tentatively planning a trip overseas this year, but it may just go see a concert instead of like for a show,
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the beauty of being a tattooer. You can go do that and then find some place to tattoo
And
for
that's
a few
the thing.
days.
Yeah, of course I'll be bringing my gear with me. You
Yeah.
know, just even for a couple of 3 days for a guest spot somewhere, if I could sort that out. So,
Yeah.
be cool.
Well, good. What show?
Oh,
what show are you gonna
it's
see?
Dropkick Murphys and Devil Makes Three in
okay.
Dublin. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. There's a show in Dublin that I'd like to do, and it's who puts it on? Damn it, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. And he's also got a supply company out there that I really wanted to do. I've never been to Ireland, but I'd love to.
Have you done a lot of overseas stuff?
No, not tattoo related. I only did we podcasted at the Venetian Gathering in Venice. That was super, super cool. That was it was in like a castle that was built in the 1500s. It's a place where Madonna filmed Like a Virgin.
That's rad.
Yeah, and it was stacked. Everybody was good. We had some great shows there. We had Paul Booth at that one, and we met I don't know, tons of great painters. That's where we met Dan Marshall, actually, was for the first
Awesome.
time. Yeah, who's
Awesome.
who's become a good friend who we love. So, but no, we visited just to go on vacation. But we're hoping to. We've been talking to Ty and Robin about maybe doing some. We travel and tattoo Ty tattoos, and I podcast. We travel a lot together, so we were talking about maybe doing some overseas shows. They're
That's
doing
awesome.
Germany next.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Frankfurt.
That's
pretty
awesome.
soon. So, all right, you want to wrap it up? All right, they look like they're hungry. Oh,
Oh,
and
I
she
gotta
has to
pee too.
All right.
Oh,
let's do it.
okay, yeah. So yeah, there
all
it
right,
is.
man. Thanks so much. I'm
Dude,
glad we
thanks
got
for
to-
having me. I
Let's
was
do it
honored.
again sometime.
I'd
Who
love
knows?
to.
We could talk. We could talk forever.
Yeah, we could.
All right.
It was meant to be.
Thank you to the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational. We really appreciate it. Joshua and Riley for having us out again. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Is he in the shot back there with his ass all in the podcast? God, can't take him anywhere. Thank you guys for supporting what we do. Thank you, Howie, for taking
Cheers.
the time. We will, if you want to keep up with Howie, it's Howie Tattoos. There's not an underscore or anything,
No,
is there? Yeah,
I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, it's just Howie Tattoos on Instagram, and we'll put all of his other information under that in case you want to keep up with him. You can catch him at a show. He travels a lot. That's how we know each other.
Yeah.
We've crossed paths quite a few times now.
Yes,
so.
sir.
All right, see you guys next time.
Hey, thanks again to our friends at GoReminders.com for making today's episode possible. Click the link below to start your 2-week free trial. You don't even need a credit card. You basically just put in your name and your email and you're up and going. It takes about 15 seconds and you get to try it out for 2 weeks. Let Go Reminders take the scheduling piece off of your plate so you can focus on tattoos.